The sky above the planet Vera 9 burned red. Smoke and fire streaked across the horizon as starships dove and weaved like silver birds caught in a storm. Below, the ground shook under the thunder of explosions. Rocks split, and sparks flew as human soldiers tried to hold their positions against the alien invaders. Commander Elias Kane crouched behind a jagged rock, his heart pounding but his mind sharp. His squad, a small band of humans, had been sent to scout the enemy's lines. Now, they were trapped in a deadly crossfire. Energy beams sliced the air around them, and the hum of alien weapons filled their ears. "Elias! They're flanking us!" shouted Lieutenant Mara, her face smudged with soot and sweat. Her plasma rifle sparked as she fired at a hovering drone. Elias took a deep breath, his blue eyes scanning the battlefield. He knew their numbers were small, their weapons less advanced than the aliens. But humans had something aliens did not: unpredictability and courage. "Hold your fire for now," he whispered, almost to himself. "Don't waste ammo. Wait for my signal." Mara blinked, confused, but trusted her commander. Humans had survived countless battles because of this calm in the storm, this stubborn refusal to panic. Elias's squad had already learned that facing aliens head-on without a plan meant certain death. And then he saw her, Lyra Vera. She appeared on a cliff above the battlefield like a vision of lightning and shadow. Her armor gleamed, black with streaks of glowing red energy. Her sword, long and curved, shimmered as she swung it effortlessly through the air, cutting down drones and alien infantry alike. Every movement was precise, perfect. Every strike left destruction in its wake. Her hair, silver and wild, flowed behind her like a comet's tail. Elias swallowed hard. He had heard stories of Lyra, the alien warrior who had never lost a battle in over 2 centuries. Entire star systems trembled at her name. Yet here she was, standing before him, as real and terrifying as the sun scorching the battlefield. He felt no fear, only determination. "Sir, she's—" Mara started, but Elias raised a hand. "I know," he said. "We're going to survive this." Elias studied the alien's pattern of movement. Unlike the drones, which attacked without thought, Lyra's strikes were deliberate. He noticed a tiny hesitation, just for a moment, as she leapt to deflect a plasma cannon. That moment, barely perceptible, was enough. Elias stood. "Mara, Jenkins, cover me." With that, he sprinted from behind the rock, dodging energy blasts, rolling under falling debris, and weaving through the chaos. His squad followed, trusting him completely. The human's strategy was simple: survive long enough to reach her. Lyra noticed him immediately. Her glowing eyes narrowed, and she adjusted her stance. She had fought thousands of enemies, but this human, small, unarmored in comparison, with nothing but courage and a rifle, moved differently. He didn't run in panic. He didn't shout or throw himself blindly into danger. He moved with calm precision, aware of her strikes, aware of the battlefield. Curiosity flickered in her eyes. Elias dodged another blast and slid under a fallen piece of metal, coming up behind a shattered alien drone. He used it to vault closer. "Almost there," he muttered. Lyra's sword swung through the air, slicing another drone in 2. Sparks flew, and the ground trembled. But she noticed the human closer now. Closer than anyone had ever dared. She adjusted her stance, ready to strike. Elias stopped. He was only a few meters away. He raised his hand slightly. Not in attack, but in greeting. "You're stunning," he whispered. The battlefield seemed to stop for a heartbeat. Lyra froze mid-strike. Her sword, still glowing with energy, slipped from her hand. The human's words, soft and fearless, had reached something in her that she had not felt in centuries: surprise. Shock rippled through the aliens nearby. Lyra, the invincible, had hesitated. For the first time, Humans had seen a crack in her armor, not the metal kind, but the kind that protected her from doubt, curiosity, and distraction. Elias did not attack. He did not advance aggressively. He simply stood, breathing steadily, staring at her, without fear. Lyra's eyes, glowing like twin stars, studied him. He was human, yes, fragile in every way by alien standards, yet unafraid. His presence was calm, his confidence quiet but undeniable. A faint smile crossed his lips. "I mean it," he whispered. "You're beautiful. Even in the middle of battle." Lyra's sword hovered, unsure. She had trained for centuries to expect death, betrayal, and challenge. Never had anyone said such words in the midst of war. Never had anyone survived long enough to speak to her face to face. Her hesitation cost her. A squad of humans under Elias's command took advantage, flanking her enemies and turning the tide in their small corner of the battlefield. Lyra's lips parted in a soundless exhale. She had not realized she could feel distracted, curious, alive, in a way battle alone had never made her feel. Elias did not smile smugly. He remained calm, aware of every movement around him. "We're all soldiers here," he whispered, almost as if speaking to himself. "But some of us fight with more than just weapons." Lyra's mind, trained to strategy and perfection, struggled to focus. This human was unlike any foe she had faced. His bravery, his unexpected calm, and his audacity had created an opening she had never experienced in hundreds of years. The alien troops, sensing their commander's hesitation, faltered. Humans surged forward, using this brief advantage to secure the area. Elias grabbed a fallen energy rifle and stood ready, still a few meters away from Lyra. She finally lowered her sword. Not completely, but just enough to signal confusion and curiosity rather than attack. Elias took a cautious step forward. "I don't mean to fight you," he said. "I want to understand you, and maybe we can survive this together." Kramen. Lyra's mind raced. Trust was a concept she had long abandoned. Humans were fragile, temporary, weak. And yet, this human, was different. He was not just brave. He was clever, calm, and unafraid of her reputation. For the first time in centuries, she felt the pull of curiosity stronger than duty. Elias lowered his rifle slightly, giving her a sign of respect. "Name's Elias Kane. I'm human. And I'm here to make sure neither of us dies. Today." Lyra studied him. The battlefield chaos surrounding them. Sparks flying and fires burning. The pause was fleeting, yet it felt eternal. She had been trained to kill without hesitation, to react faster than any opponent, to dominate every engagement. And yet, something about this human made her hesitate, made her question her instinct to strike, made her feel human emotions she had buried long ago. Elias's calm bravery, his steady eyes, and his unexpected words had done what no alien warrior in centuries had managed. They had broken her concentration. Lyra's sword remained half raised, the glow fading slightly as she processed the strange, unfamiliar feeling. She had no name for it. Curiosity? Confusion? Respect? Perhaps all three. But one thing was certain: she would remember this moment forever. And Elias. He had survived the first encounter, unarmed by fear and armed only with courage. He had done the impossible. He had made the legendary alien warrior pause in battle. The ground trembled, the fires roared, and the war continued. But in that instant, human ingenuity and bravery had shone brighter than any alien weapon. And for Elias Kane, that small victory capturing the attention of the greatest warrior in the galaxy was only the beginning. The battlefield awaited them both, but now with a tension different from before. One of respect, curiosity, and an unspoken challenge. Elias glanced at his squad, then back at Lyra. "We're just getting started," he whispered. And for the first time, Lyra wondered if this human might be more than a soldier. The battlefield was chaos itself. Fires burned across the red plains of Vera 9, sending sparks and smoke into the blood-colored sky. Human soldiers were regrouping after the brief moment of confusion Lyra Vera had experienced. Alien drones buzzed like angry hornets, and distant explosions shook the ground. But amidst the destruction, a fragile calm had appeared. Elias Kane moved carefully among the wreckage. His rifle was in hand, though he hadn't raised it at Lyra. She was close, too close for comfort, but he had not attacked. Humans had learned to survive by thinking, by observing, by being unpredictable. And he had done the unthinkable. He had made the greatest warrior of the galaxy pause. Lyra stood a few meters away, her glowing sword half raised, eyes studying him. Her breathing was controlled, but there was a flicker of something unexpected in her gaze. Curiosity. She had faced thousands of opponents, humans included. But none had dared speak to her the way Elias had. None had dared make her hesitate mid-battle. Elias's squad gathered behind him. Mara, Jenkins, and the rest watched with tense anticipation. They had seen Lyra kill without hesitation, cut down dozens of foes with a single sweep. They knew they had only a slim chance to survive, yet Elias's calm presence gave them courage. "Sir," Mara whispered, her voice shaky. She's not moving. What do we do?" Elias didn't answer right away. He studied Lyra carefully, watching for any sign of aggression. "Stay alert," he said finally. "But don't fire unless I say so. This is delicate." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly. She still had control of her sword, though she wasn't swinging it. The alien forces around her were regaining their focus. But she didn't attack. Something about this human, the way he didn't fear her, the way he had spoken softly yet boldly, was unusual. Alien warriors were trained to expect fear. They were trained to expect panic. Elias had shown neither. Slowly, deliberately, Elias took a step forward. He raised one hand slightly, not in threat, but in gesture. "I don't mean to fight you," he said. His voice was calm, steady. "I just wanted to see if you could stop for a moment. To think. To breathe." Lyra tilted her head. She had not heard words like these in decades, centuries even. Most humans screamed or attacked immediately. Most aliens obeyed without hesitation. But this human, he was different. And that, "You should attack," one of her advisors hissed in her ear. "He is weak. Strike now." Lyra ignored the voice. She could feel the strange pull of curiosity. What was it about him? His confidence? His fearlessness? Or something else? Elias took another step forward. "Name's Elias Kane," he said quietly. "I'm human. And I'd rather not die today if you don't either." The statement was simple, almost too simple, yet it carried weight. He didn't threaten. He didn't beg. He merely spoke truth. For a moment, Lyra was silent. Then, something shifted in her posture. She lowered her sword slightly more, though not fully. The energy humming through it dimmed. It was a gesture she had never made to a human or to anyone before. "You, speak boldly," she said at last, her voice smooth but cautious. "Bold enough to speak to me, in the middle of battle, and not fear death. I've survived this long because I have to think, not just fight," Elias said. "Courage is not just about strength. Sometimes it's about knowing when to act and when to wait." Lyra's eyes flickered with a strange emotion. Respect? Amusement? The battlefield around them continued its violent dance. Aliens pressed forward, drones attacking relentlessly, but Lyra's hesitation created gaps. Humans surged, taking advantage, driving the enemy back in small bursts of control. Elias did not fire his weapon. Instead, he used the chaos to move closer. He was careful, calculating every step. He wanted to speak to her, not just survive the encounter, but reach her mind. Lyra observed him, her instincts screaming that she should strike, end the human now. But curiosity, that strange, unfamiliar pull, kept her sword raised but motionless. She had never allowed herself this pause. She had never let herself wonder about an opponent's mind, their thoughts, their courage. "Why don't you fight like the others?" she asked finally, her tone almost a challenge. "Because I know something you don't," Elias said, keeping his eyes steady on hers. "Humans are unpredictable. We survive by thinking, by feeling, by caring. And sometimes," he paused, a small, confident smile crossing his face. "Sometimes words are stronger than weapons." Lyra's sword hummed faintly in her grip. She didn't understand this human at all. And yet, she couldn't deny it. He had made her pause. He had made her hesitate in battle. And that was remarkable. Elias took another careful step forward. "We don't have to kill each other today," he whispered. "We can survive. Maybe even learn something from one another." Her lips parted slightly in a soundless exhale. She had not felt this before. Not curiosity, not hesitation, not uncertainty. She had been a warrior for centuries, trained to kill without question. And yet, standing before this human, she felt something entirely different. A sudden explosion to their left shook the ground, sending debris flying. Elias instinctively shielded Mara, but his eyes never left Lyra. She moved instinctively to deflect debris with her sword, yet she did not attack him. "You survive differently than any human I have faced," Lyra said finally. "Tell me, why do you not fear me?" Elias crouched behind a fallen wall of metal, keeping a careful eye on her. "Fear is for those who give up control," he said. "I'm alive because I control what I can and accept what I can't. You are impressive, stronger than anyone I've seen, but I can survive by being human." Lyra's glowing eyes studied him for a long moment. Humans were fragile. They could die easily. They could be destroyed in 100 ways that she, as a superior alien warrior, could imagine. Yet this human, he was alive, calm, and moving with confidence. He had faced her, the greatest warrior in the galaxy, without flinching. And somehow, he had survived. Something inside her shifted. She had never respected a human before. She had never wondered about their courage or their mind. But now, she did. "Step closer," she said finally, her voice soft but commanding. "I want to see if your courage is more than words." Elias moved carefully, one step at a time, aware of the alien forces surrounding them. His squad followed cautiously, trusting him implicitly. Humans had survived by following leaders who could see opportunities in danger, who could act when others panicked. Elias was one of those rare leaders. "You're not afraid," Lyra said, her tone almost thoughtful. "That is unusual." "Fear doesn't help us survive," Elias replied simply. "Knowing what to do, and when, does." Lyra's eyes softened slightly. She had been trained to see weakness immediately, to exploit it, to destroy without hesitation. But she could find none in him. He was human, yes, but strong, calm, and clever. For the first time in centuries, Lyra considered a different perspective. She lowered her sword almost fully, though she remained ready. "Perhaps humans are worth more than I believed," she said. Elias gave a small nod. "We are," he said quietly. "We fight not because we must, but because we care." That is what makes us dangerous. Even to warriors like you. She studied him, her glowing eyes measuring every word, every breath. Humans were unpredictable. Yes. They were weaker physically. Yes. But they had a strange courage, a resourcefulness, and a heart. Something she had rarely seen in warriors of any species. The alien drones continued to attack, but the moment between Elias and Lyra remained. Neither moved aggressively, yet both were aware of the battlefield, the danger, the fragile truce that curiosity had created. You speak differently than others, Lyra said finally. And yet, you survive. That's human nature, Elias replied with a small grin. We survive by thinking, by caring, and by not giving up even when the odds are against us. Lyra considered him, her sword humming faintly. Then, with a movement that surprised even her, she deactivated the energy glow on her blade, letting it rest fully in her hands. A gesture of hesitation, of trust, perhaps both. Elias exhaled quietly, relieved but still alert. The battlefield was far from safe, yet he had achieved something impossible. He had made the legendary alien warrior pause, reconsider, and lower her weapon. Humans surged forward, taking advantage of the temporary opening. Aliens faltered, and the human squad gained a small, hard-won victory. Elias remained calm, his eyes never leaving Lyra. You are remarkable, she said finally, the words carrying weight she had never used with a human before. And foolish, perhaps, but remarkable. Elias smiled slightly. We humans survive by being both. And in that brief moment, amidst fire, smoke, and chaos, something shifted on the battlefield. Humans had shown they were not just weak creatures to be destroyed. They were clever, brave, and capable of surprising even the greatest warrior in the galaxy. And Elias Kane had just begun.